Wouldn't it be great if there was an easy way to give your drone footage that warm, cinematic feel? This is my personal, unsponsored review of Dehancer Pro. They gave me a 1-year license and a discount code for you to use if you decide to grab it. But this is 100% my opinion, and they had zero input on what I say. But most drones, especially consumer ones, lock you into a single focal length. You can't swap lenses. That's where Dehancer comes in. It gives you access to film grain, halation, bloom, film damage effect, and gate weed. You also get adjustable settings for color, contrast, temperature, and more. So it's not just a one-click filter. You really get to dial it in. So if you're working with footage from a fixed lens drone and you're looking for a way to break out of that clinical, ultra-digital look, Dehancer gives you 60 different ways to reimagine that in. Drop the plugin into your node tree and you're already steps ahead. If you're lucky enough to be flying something like an Inspire 3 or a Cinematography carrying a Komodo, you'll get more lens flexibility. But even then, Dehancer gives you something that glass alone on a modern sensor can't, the feel of film. Digital has a huge advantage in terms of cost and flexibility. You can shoot as many takes as you want without burning film. But sometimes you still want that vintage aesthetic, that emotional tone that film brings. Dehancer helps bridge that gap. Dehancer simplifies the whole process, but works across footage from all my drones. It gives you that organic, filmic feel without the need to be a professional colorist. The iOS app is also super handy. You can take your drone footage, transfer it to your phone, run it through Dehancer, and upload it directly to socials while you're out in the field. People talk about the price. And here's how I look at it. You spend how much on a lens, on your drone, on your camera body. Dehancer is a plugin that gives you 60 different film looks and the tools to fine-tune them. That's like getting a whole new lens kit inside your editing software. So let's move over to DaVinci Resolve, and I'll show you how exactly I'm using Dehancer Pro on my Inspire 3 footage. Here we are in DaVinci Resolve, and I've got two clips, one from the Inspire 3 and one from the Red Komodo. And I'll show you my workflow for the Dehancer Pro plugin on both of these. We'll go to the color tab, and here's how I set up my Inspire 3 footage to use the Dehancer plugin. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do color space transform. I'm going to put one at the beginning and one at the end here. And then I'm going to go in, select the DJI D-Gamut and DJI D-Log. And then I'm going to output it as DaVinci Wide Gamut and DaVinci Intermediate. And then I'm going to go to the last transform, and it's going to be DaVinci Wide Gamut, DaVinci Intermediate. And then I'm going to put it out as Rec 709 and Gamma 2.4. Now, you can use this node for white balance, and you can use Option S to make as many nodes as you want. And now that I have the color to Rec 709, I didn't balance it for white and all that. Now let's apply the Dehancer Pro plugin. So I'm just going to call it up here, Dehancer. I'm going to drop it on the last part of my node tree. And right now you can see that it's already applied the Kodak Vision 3 25D. I think it grabs the last thing that you had selected. Expand is on, print is on, film grain is on, color head is not, halation, bloom are not turned on, film damage, film breathing, gate weave, overscan is not enabled, vignetting is not enabled. It allows you to monitor false color, and you can control the output. Here you can leave it at 100%, or you can scale it back. You can also generate a LUT. One thing you'll notice is every time you apply the plugin, it has all these things set the same way. It won't save the last way you had it. It just always defaults this. So one nice thing would be if you could save your favorites and just drop and drag it on there and then have a list of favorites. All right, so let's go through each one of these. So let me just click on that to close it all down. And we'll go through the input Rec 709 because we transformed this. I'm not going to change the exposure or temperature or any of this, but everything is on the slider, so you get an instant view of what it's going to be, and you can reset it. Okay, and we'll go to the film look. So we're looking at the Kodak Vision 3 25D. Now, so you change this to what you want, and you get an instant preview. Now, over time, you'll probably come up with the ones that are your favorites, and you'll go back to them quite a bit. But now we'll do Fuji Chrome 50. And then So it's enabled, and we can push and pull the image. But I think it's okay where it was. So we'll close that. The film developer, I'm not going to change this, but this is where, so we turn it on, contrast boost, the gamma corrector, color separation, and color boost. But I'm going to I'm not going to enable that. We'll just leave it at this. Film compression, I probably won't use this one. You can adjust the white point, tonal range, color density. But again, the expand, now it's enabled. I'm just leaving it at the defaults. My blacks are a little high, so I could bring them down a little bit. So in the print, we're going to choose a Fuji 3513 because we were using Fuji Chrome up here. You can use any of them, but if you notice the change in color there, looks really good. So the color head here, I won't enable it, but when you get film developed, the developer can change the colors. I'll enable it here, I'll show you. Can adjust the colors in the processing. It's actually, lots of control over so much, but I'm not going to use that right now. So film grain is on by default, set to 35. You can just adjust the slider. You can turn it off and on. You can see how it gives that nice filmic look. Relation isn't on by default. You can turn it on, set to 70. Now it's very subtle, and it's probably not coming through in this YouTube video very well, but it just softens it up a bit here. And let's close these. Now let's look at boom. Again, it's not on by default. You have several profiles, and you can do it custom. You can enable it, and you can notice it really in the highlights, so up in the clouds and along the shore. That's set to 50. You can use the slider, bring it up and down. Again, I think the default is fine at 50. And then we'll do some film damage. Again, not on by default, but we'll enable it. And we'll put probably 20%, give it that old school feel. Film breathing, it's set to 35 or Super 35. Can enable it. Really don't get to see it unless you're going through the clip, maybe just a little bit there. And again, probably not coming through in the YouTube video. So we'll leave that on. Gate weave, we could put some gate weave on, and that impact 100%. Probably not. We don't want it to bounce around too much. Overscan is not on by default. I'm not going to use overscan, but if you enable it, I'll just show you what it looks like. You can see that you get the sprockets on the film, and you can control that by the scale. You can drag it out how much you want. We have vignetting, which is not enabled by default, but I'm going to turn it on. And I'm not really going to change too much of it. The size of it is 50. Exposure, I don't really want to, dial it down. We'll just leave it as default. You can also change where the center is. And that also has monitoring. You can monitor your false colors. The output is basically, right now it's at 100%. And that's by default. You can dial it back. LUT generator, so you can export the LUT, and then you have options. And it just is the quality and then your other info. So I think the Dehancer team did a really good job at putting this together. It gives you a lot of flexibility, and it gives you a lot of options to really dial in that film look. And again, if you have a reference photo, you could really get it super close to something that was filmed on an Airy Flex. Alright, so now let's look at the workflow with the red. So I can already tell this is red raw. I can already tell that a little bit overexposed. But let's just take the Dehancer Pro. We'll drop it right in here. Go up here to the input. And this time we're going to just choose a camera. And it's a red. It's a Komodo X, and then we're just going to leave it at the log G310 standard. So I can already tell very overexposed. So let's bring down the exposure. And an ND filter on, but I think I only had a 4-stop filter on. Now it was a very sunny day. Temperature, it's a little bit yellow, so it's paint down to there. I don't think we need to tint it too much. Yeah, so instead of having to do color transform to Rec 709, we can just use the actual plugin to make those changes. And we can go, you can roll through all the different types of film. A lot of people like Fuji color. That's giving us a really nice picture already. And then we will go down, and so we've got print, film grain. We don't have halation. We don't have film damage. Gate weave is not on. Vignetting is not on. So let's put some vignetting on it. I'm not going to overscan it. We'll put some gate weave on and a little bit of film damage, say 10%. Maybe a little bit of bloom and halation. And we'll run this through. Here you go. Looks like we captured this moment on a film camera, but it was actually captured on a red. At the end of the day, it's just a powerful, intuitive way to bring warm character and a bit of nostalgia to your aerial footage, especially when you're shooting in high-res digital. The Dehancer Pro plugin works on Final Cut Pro, DaVinci Resolve, and Premiere. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, and we'll see you in the next one.